The Strain, Season 4, Episode 7, Ouroboros. This was definitely a great episode. Certainly a surprising ending. It's just not what I was expecting. I couldn't tell what was going to happen as things were going about because characters were dying. I didn't know if they were going to end up killing off one of the main characters as well, which I guess technically they did, even though it was on the villain side of things. But it was a really good episode. It's kind of a lot of the stuff I've been waiting for, and some of it I didn't even expect. But we have we're close to having like that full reunion of all the heroes coming back together. But we have, of course, Eph and Alex officially make it to New York. They end up running into Dutch. They end up running into Setrakian, of course, as they're teamed up. So they end up running into them. Setrakian, now that he's been, experimented on for like 6 months or whatever, he's very weak. His age is catching up to him, which is, of course, 95. So he's kind of, catching up on all this time he was using like his little procedure to make an extractive version of the white to save his life. And so he has F do that for him, which they don't really show him get that at the end, so they don't, they haven't experienced the aftermath of what took place at the end of the episode with the church. So F and Dutch go off to make this cure, and then you have Alex with Setrakian, and, she's just talking with him and stuff. And around this time, of course, we have that powder keg that I was waiting for, that ticking time bomb. A much calmer bomb than I was expecting it to be, because I thought for sure all that stuff with Gus and the other dude whose name I never bothered to learn, I always thought it was just going to end in a firefight. I really thought it was. It was going to be, this dude's always pissed off with Gus because he's dumb. That's pretty much all there was to it. And I thought he was going to ultimately come to like a firefight. And that doesn't end up being the case. He tries to do what he does throughout the whole series, which is, be the one, on top, have some information, have something useful, try to get some more money, try to get a location or, whatever he wants, while, basically selling somebody else out. And it was a pretty cool scene, to be totally honest, when they actually killed him off, because you go through the whole process. Of course, the master, tells Setrakian, I need you to do this, like, we need to get rid of them. They know that there's a bomb coming into the city, like, things, they're dealing with some issues on two fronts. You got Setrakian officially out there, and then you have Fet and Quinlan, and they're coming in with a missile, so it's like, we got some issues that we need to deal with on both sides of the fence. So they put out, like, an all-points bulletin on everybody with, their faces are on the side of trucks and everything. And this dude goes in, he's like, hey, I got some information on the pawnbroker you guys are looking for, and the bald guy and the lady. So he wants to give them the information, but of course he wants something in return. And he goes to the master, and it was a decent plan. I was curious how that was going to play out, because I'm like, alright, so he goes in, he's trying to make this deal, and then he's like, boom, I got a grenade. Pulls the pin, he's holding the trigger down, and it's like, alright, if I don't get, what I, barter for, basically, I'll just take us all out. Like, no big deal, you can't sting me, I'll just let go and just blow myself up, then you got nothing. So he puts his demands out there. It's like, I want the island back, I want, all the Strugoi off the island, I want all the people, all the little, security and all that crap. Everybody's gone. It's me and my guys, and then we will also work as, like, your new sort of, finder's force or whatever. It's like, if you need anyone to be found, we'll do it for you, which is a, isn't even that much of a win-win, because the master has, like, Strigoi all over the city, mind control and all that good stuff. So he goes through his whole thing. The master kind of just looks at him, and I was like, does he respect this dude, or is he just about to murder this guy? I couldn't really tell exactly where it was at, because I was like, he's super pissed off. But in that moment, I was like, I can kind of respect that. He went in there, he thought he was doing something. I was like, I can respect that. I don't know if the master feels the same way. And so he snarls a little bit, freaks him out, and so he's like, we got a deal. And the master just slowly walks up to him. He's like, no, I just kind of wanted to see how far your delusions of grandeur went. And then he chokes him, has him, he tosses the grenade up to take them all out. Then he just grabs the grenade and just twists it, and instead of this huge explosion, which is supposed to be like his, his grand scheme to survive and, keep them from getting the information while he got nothing, it literally just fizzes. It's like a sparkler. It's just like, and that was it. I was like, well, he's toast. That's game over for him. So of course he tries to, make another deal, but, he hits him, turns him into a Strigoi. They get the information for the church. They go to the church, and sadly, Alex gets killed off. Just plain and simple. Eichorst gets there, and that was pretty much all there was to it. Setrakian couldn't fight back, so she shoots a little bit. He just runs up to her, snaps her neck, and she's dead. And I figured it was gonna happen. It just still sucks because she was like one of the characters. She was one of the new characters that showed up in the show, and it was just interesting to see what they were gonna do with that, if she was gonna live or if she was gonna end up dying. But they killed off both the new characters that showed up multiple times. Like they kill off Alex, who was a part of course, F's story, and she even had her own stuff. Like there was an emotional moment for her character where she loses her brother and all the people that she was teamed up with, and then it's just her and F. And I was like, I still don't think she's gonna make it, but it wouldn't be surprising if she did because they took the time to build up that story. But it was just like, yeah, we're just building it up because that's a good story, and we're still gonna kill her off. So it sucked to see her go. And then, just as things are about to get really bad, because I was like, they killed her. They could do the Ex Machina thing, of course, where characters show up at the last second. And I was like, I don't know if they're gonna do that because it's the final season. Things. They just throw those random twists in. You never know what's going to happen in the final season. So I was like, they could actually kill Setrakian, and it would still be shocking, but it's like, as the final season, it wouldn't shock me that much that they kill, like the guy who knows the most, they kill him, and then it kind of sends that shockwave out through the rest of the, the characters, where it's like, crap, what are we going to do without him, there to help us out? So I wouldn't have been surprised if they did it, but I was glad they didn't, of course, because I was like, we already lost Alex, and then instead of Eph and Dutch actually showing up, Gus and his cousin show up to help Setrakian out, which I thought was cool. Unfortunately, they do the dumb thing, which was to actually follow them. I was like, I know that they're good, especially Gus. He had the training with the other masters and everything, but I was like, it's just the two of them dealing with Eichorst, of all people, or of Ostrogoi, and I was just like, they shouldn't leave this room. They have a very beautiful bottleneck choke point. This is like some military type stuff. Just stay in this one secluded area. I know they need some revenge. There's revenge on both parts. Like even Gus says, it was like, oh, you're from my mom and my brother and stuff. I was just like, they shouldn't be following him. And of course, what ends up happening is they end up killing his cousin. He's like, he drops down on him. The worm dropped in his eye anyway. And so he's like, and now this one, and he snaps his neck. And I was like, geez, he just killed off two side characters who have shown up more than enough times for me to be like, I do want them to live. I figured his cousin was going to die too. I was more certain his cousin was going to die than Alex for sure. Once again, I thought it was going to be in a totally different way. But it still does come around to the fact that the guy was mad at Gus. So it was still technically him. That kind of led to his cousin's death. I just thought, be more direct and they just, gunfight. But that really sucked. It was like, oh, well, that sucks for Gus. He lost somebody else right in front of him as well. So, he's dealing with Eichorst, and then he actually gets grabbed. And so it's like, alright, now we have this moment where Eichorst does basically what he did with Setrakian, where it's like, alright, now I have basically like his secondary rival in Gus. It's like, well, I guess it's time to take you out, and then I'm going to go back to, obviously he doesn't call him Setrakian, but, take you out, and then that's all there is to it. We'll take out these two guys, and then we'll get the rest. And he gets stabbed in the back, which every time they do that, I'm just like, why didn't he just decapitate him right there? But I considered the fact that he was super weak. He didn't have the strength to, like, fully chop his head off. So I was like, I'll just chalk it up to that. Because I'm always like, every time he gets stabbed, I'm like, why couldn't they just stab him either through the head or something? Because they've proven that if they stab him in the head with silver, they die. So it's like, if he had time to stab him in the back, he could have stabbed him through the head. And I was like, I still don't know what's going to happen, because he stabbed him through the back, and now, of course, he has the blade in him, so what the F is going to happen, because he's not that weak just because he got stabbed through, it just hurts. So I was like, alright, I'm not sure what's about to happen here. Still a little worried, because he didn't, chop his head off instantly, so I'm like, I don't think Setrakian will make it, because Gus is still being held up. I just couldn't tell what was going to happen. And then, the moment where I thought Setrakian died, I was like, jeez, I can't believe they freaking did that. And then I was still wondering, like, how is Gus supposed to escape this? And I kind of thought at the moment, maybe that's when, F and Dutch end up showing up again at the end, after it's too late to save Setrakian, but they save Gus and Eichorst takes off. But then, they show Setrakian drop the bottle, and at this point, because I guess I'm still a little confused on it, I thought they were both going to die, because he took the blood thinners, which still should have killed him, I guess. I don't know, I guess the science behind it is that Eichorst sucking out the super thin blood is what saved his life. But I'm like, that still kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, because he would still have like a ton of blood thinners. But I guess it was supposed to be, he sucked out enough of the thin blood that the rest of his body is fine. So I was like, I guess that's how that worked. science speaking. So I thought they were gonna both die, and I was like, what's happening here? Because he's talking to him, and instead of them both dying, Setrakian actually does end up living, and I thought that was such a cool moment. He puts all the blood thinners basically in his system, so his blood is thinning out, and before, like I said, before it ends up killing him, basically Eichorst sucks out all the bad thin blood and kills himself, and Setrakian, is left, I guess, with all the fine blood. Like I said, it still technically doesn't make that much sense, because I'm like, if he sucked the blood out of him, I guess he's, like I said, he literally would have had to only suck the non-thin blood out of his system, but I guess he sucked enough out of it to where his body starts reproducing, non-thin blood. I don't know. He sucked out all the symptoms of the blood thinners. That's the best way to put it. I don't know if that's exactly how that would work in real life, but the hero lived and the villain died, so I was kind of fine with it. But it was such a great moment, and he's there, and he talks to the master through Eichhorst's eyes, and it's like, it might not be me. And he even says it won't be me. It won't be now, and it won't be me, but at some point you'll be gone, and you'll see my face when it happens. And then he talks straight to Eichhorst, and he's like, I'm not a number. My name is Setrakian, and he decapitates him. And I was like, man, they just killed Eichhorst, and that was really, really crazy. So it was a really great way to end the episode with this really huge victory. I mean, it's Eichhorst. He's always been more hands-on than the master ever was. So it just makes me wonder what's going to happen next. Because with that happening, now the first thing I thought of after he decapitated him was he's got to go to Zack. That's all he has left as anyone who's relevant. It's like he has Zack and the dude who is the face of the Foundation pretty much. So he has the two of them now. And I just don't know where they're headed with that. But I thought it was a great way to end it. It was really cool to see them officially kill off, this big villain. He's like the secondary villain of the entire series. That huge, story of history between Eichhorst and Setrakian has always been one of the best parts of the series. And it officially came to an end in this episode. So definitely great. I absolutely love the way they ended the episode. Of course, Gus does end up surviving. I forgot exactly how he did it, but ultimately he flipped around, he broke free, pushed him up against the wall, and then he got this ancient steel blade and just killed him. So everything worked out for them. They are alive, and then we have the other story in this episode, which of course is the nuke supposedly being transported into the city. It was supposed to happen, and unfortunately that was just not the case. They weren't able to make it into the city to actually get the nuke set up and everything. And just as they're about to enact their plan, they're like, all right, something's off, because the bridge, all the checkpoints are just completely empty. There's no guards, there's no strigoi. They just thought it was a trap at first. So it's like, all right, well, what do we do next? And then the bridge explodes, and then all the bridges explode. So there is no way for them to get this nuke into the city unless they take a boat, which would be a bit more obvious because there's not going to be anything on the water except for them. So they're going to have to probably, I would assume, do it kind of in the cover of the night in order to make sure they get across safely. But I'm definitely looking forward to how they plan on doing that, unless they find some other way to shoot the missile across, which I think that was the whole point, was they didn't have anything. They had to detonate it in the city. So I don't know, maybe they'll just randomly find something to just shoot it right over or something like that. But it was a nice change, because I was like, all right, well, that was their whole thing was, they land in, they instantly go into a firefight. It's like, all right, let's get this nuke into the city. There's literally no way into the city outside of a boat now. So I'm really looking forward to how they kind of get past that hurdle with what I have to assume is going to be increased security, especially now with Eichhorst gone. It's the master's going to be all right, it's time to be frantic. I think it was maybe 3 episodes ago or something like that. And something that Fet said was the worst, the only thing worse than a king or a rat king is a cornered rat king. It makes him more dangerous. So I feel that's where he's at right now. He lost his second in command. The bridge thing is gone, but it's still it's right there. The nuke is just right over the water. So he's still got to deal with that. He knows Setrakian is alive. He knows he lost his second in command. He's going to be going nuts. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. I'm not sure how many episodes we have left in the season, but once you kill off the second in command, it doesn't take too much longer after that. I mean, we're still super early in the season, so it's crazy that it happened, at this point. But I'm super excited for the rest of this season now that they've done this. So ultimately, probably this has to be my favorite episode so far. It was just a crazy moment. So looking forward to what we get next. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And of course, I want to know how you guys feel about Eichorst being killed off. I also would like to know how you guys feel about the side characters being killed off, particularly Alex. I feel Gus's cousin, he was there and it was like, yeah, that's Gus's cousin. He's probably going to die. But Alex actually had some development for her character, having to kill her brother and all the, the stuff that she learned from Eph about everything that happened, and stuff like that. Like that moment where he was talking about his son and wanting him to be alive and then other days not wanting him to. That was a great moment where they had that conversation and just learning, about each other. Mostly her learning about him. But they did a lot with her character in the small time that she was in there, and I really liked her, and I was hoping that she would live until the end, but I was like, it wouldn't surprise me if she got killed off, and sadly, she did. So I'm glad it was quick at least. It wasn't like other characters. Pretty much every other character seems to like suffer when they die. It was just, quick snap, but it still sucked to see it happen. But I'd love to know what you guys thought about the deaths in this episode, and of course what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.